Nothing in this podcast is intended as investment advice, and the people in this podcast may hold positions in the stocks they talk about. Do not buy any investment based solely on a tip or recommendation. Please do your own research.
Hello and welcome to the Midweek Takeaway. Today we're joined by Damien Hancock, CEO of Spectrum X, and Shawn Wakefield, Head of Investor Relations. Welcome, gents. How's life treating you both?
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Phil. Thanks for having us back.
Hi, Phil. Thanks for having us.
No problem. So you guys, I guess, are gearing up, ready for the IPO in the coming months. Do you want to just talk us through a bit of the capital structure, and also maybe Damien introduce Shawn and what his role is now?
Yeah, so Shawn and his team have been invaluable to the business over the past 18 months, 20 months. We've successfully raised just under £10 million thus far, pre-IPO money. Obviously, we are now looking forward to our listing next year on the back of our positive human trial data. But yeah, as I said, Shawn is our go-to guy for financing for the business.
Thank you, guys. Cheers. Thank you. And thank you, Damien, for the introduction. So yeah, just to quickly run through what my role is. So I'm, I guess for a better term, the gatekeeper between investors and Damien, welcoming new investors into the company and really explaining what kind of proposition that we have for them. You know, if investors ever have a question, investors, want some pick Damien's brain, all they need to do is ask me or my team. We provide a pretty personal service where we're always at the end of a phone or an email. And yeah, it's gone very, very well so far. Everyone's got a lot of interest in this space. I mean, when we started this, it was during the pandemic. There was a lot of respiratory infection going around. And quite frankly, that's why I got involved as well. I started looking at this, started speaking to Damien, and thought, wow, what a game changer. There's a certain feeling you have when you're taking investments to market, and this ticks all the boxes for me as a personal investor as well. I just thought, wow, there's not many opportunities like this that come along, and I took the ball by the horn, so to speak, and went and raised the capital for Damien. But yeah, it was a really proud moment. I mean, recently we've sent our first drug substance off to the contract manufacturer to start the process. It's a big landmark moment for me and the investors and the whole team. You know, we've built something from the ground up, and we really are excited to see where this gets to. You know, it's a proud moment as a company to sit there and build a junior pharmaceutical company from ground up. That's a bit about me and briefly where we've come to and where we are now. I mean, look, as a company which is growing, I'm sure you can appreciate there's always room for further investment and taking the business along. We decided to delay the IPO due to turbulent conditions in the markets. I mean, I'm sure as investors, the people I'm speaking to now in the audience probably understand the fact that putting a company on the market right now is not a good idea. When you take a company public, what you need you need to have the right momentum. You need to have the right appetite for IPOs. And quite frankly, there's been nothing this year which has tickled anyone's fancy, so to speak. So yeah, we've decided to delay it, and that's why we're raising further capital privately. Okay, which is a great opportunity for newer investors coming into this. I mean, look, we are basically going to be locking investors in at this stage. New investment coming in can be done via CLN, so it's not a traditional equity purchase at this, but a CLN, quite frankly, is a very safe way to go because your money, in effect, is loaned into the company, which converts in from debt into equity at IPO. Now, you probably heard from previous podcasts of our value inflection point, which is the end of the clinical trial. Okay. Now, the end of the phase 1 clinical trial gives us a hefty valuation of around £200 million. Let's say circa 200 million. What we're giving our investors the opportunity to do is buy in now to fixed current valuation of the current business as it stands. Of 58 million. So there's obviously a lot of potential upturn between now and the IPO. Okay, 3.5, 4x. You guys are probably better at maths than me. What we're also offering investors as well is a coupon. Let's call it a coupon, more of an accrual. So from the date of investment until the actual IPO, we're willing to give investors 0.5% extra per month, 6% per annum by way of additional shares. So quite simply put, that is going to be based on the existing valuation. We go to market at 200 million. And the coupon is actually rolled into the original investment at 58 million. So yes, we're saying 6% and 0.5% a month, but obviously that's going to be many times more by the time we go to market. And I think this is very, very solid as we stand. As I said, we've come a long way from where we started. I see this as not just stopping at 200 million. The people I speak to are a whole range of it. We've got 190 investors involved in this so far, and I think I speak to smaller investors, certainly larger investors, doctors, microbiologists who really understand what we've got as a potential groundbreaking company here. I've had professional investors tell me we've got the next £1 billion company on our hands. Is it going to get there? Well, hopefully. If we this isn't going to happen quickly. When we invest into things like this, we don't go in it for the quick buck. And again, part of my job is to kind of, weed out the sharks, so to speak, who are in it for a quick buck. I welcome investors into this who are going to sit and support the company and have the long-term view on something like this, that support the company for the next 3 to 4 years. Yes, there are obviously, when we go to market, there are opportunities to exit. But I think that when you're investing in a growth company, why sell a company before it's given it time to grow? Anyway, I've waffled on enough. Guys, if you want to ask me any questions.
Okay, Shawn, so just to recap, we've got a convertible loan note. Yes, basically That's what the CLN is. It's a convertible loan note, which you invest X thousand in. I'm assuming minimum's £5,000-10,000. I'm not sure. You can confirm that with us. All the way up to whatever amount you wish. But effectively, you're trying to raise £6 or £7 million in total. And on top of that, basically, you're getting 6% interest before it IPOs. Okay. So when IPOs, you're going to get the interest, but the interest will be paid in shares. So as long as the shares are at a higher price, obviously that coupon or interest rate is going to be maybe 3 times that. So it could be closer to 20% as you wait. So that's basically the deal in hand. The risk is what? What are the risks to the investor?
Well, the risks are that, there are further delays to the IPO because of conditions, but quite frankly, our valuation, our value inflection point is the end of the clinical trial. So we will list regardless of this. This is what gives us our nice big valuation. Existing investors, I must say, are very happy with their current deal. They've been involved in previous rounds with various discounts. Their risk was a lot higher because we hadn't got to this stage as yet to have the facility. And they have experienced a delay because we were going to IPO this year, but they have been looked after in a similar vein with various interests and various things added into their investment. So in terms of risks, well, the same with anything. The risks are that the trials don't work. We think that we have sufficient data to prove that they will work. Again, I'm no medical director or doctor or anything like that, but I've seen the data in front of my own eyes. And, previously you would have heard from Donna to state that, from what she can see, this certainly has a better chance than most of working. And quite frankly, once we have passed that initial trial and proven our in vitro data, which are as our lab testing data is correct on humans, that will be our value creation point, and then we will go to market.
So I ask you, Shawn, in terms of the products that are already available and that obviously don't need to go through these human trials, what percentage of this 58 million is it possible that those products are worth, do you think, in terms of revenue going forward and what you think you can produce from the factory in Manchester there? I'm playing devil's advocate here in terms of what people are putting at risk.
Yeah, and it's a really good point actually, because it's something that I've not discussed, but you've always got to look at a backstop when anyone's making an investment. Specifically, I can specifically speak for myself and my current clients. We always look for what the backstop is, and the backstop, quite frankly, is quite a healthy one. We have the world's strongest hand sanitizer. Again, it might be a bit claimy, but you know what? I think we have sufficient data to suggest so. It's non-alcohol based, so as a sanitizer alone, amongst NHS contracts and airlines and whatever way we decide to grow that part of the business, again, it's very claimy here, but in my personal opinion, a couple of £100 million business there alone. Again, it doesn't happen overnight. And again, we will have to, take the company and progress that line of those line of sales. However, I do think the backstops, so let's say worst case scenario, the clinical trial fails. We have a successful hand sanitizer business with a unique product. We have something called, which battles C. diff, which again, nothing else does. And we also have a cosmetic and beauty line. Now, those products alone, they could take the company in a very huge direction. It's something which is existing, something which is already on the market. We have plenty of product development on that side. So for investors, their downside is, yes, we go to market circa their 58 million investment. By the way, guys, as well, just to let you know, this 58 million pound valuation that buying is a ceiling for them, for the investors. Okay. So what I mean by that is if, let's say, for example, we have a situation where the trial didn't work, or we just let's just say, for example, we decide to go to market at 50, let's say 50 million or below the 58 million. Doesn't mean to say that their loan notes would convert at 58. 58 is the ceiling, so they would then convert at a lower valuation, so to speak. But anyway, these are worst case scenarios. We're going to be obviously listing at much higher because it's based on our clinical trial. But the backstop here is, a successful sanitizer business with near-term revenues and a successful beauty line, which is very, very unique to the market.
So, Shawn, tell us then. So, if listeners like what they're hearing and they want to have a little investment, just talk us through them getting in touch with yourself and what the process would be.
Yeah, sure. So it's a really simple process, actually. For GDPR purposes, investors would have to go via our website, which is spectrumx.com. There'll be a button on the top right-hand corner, which is pointing to investor relations. They'd have to go through a very, very brief questionnaire just for GDPR compliance and also regulatory purposes. We can only take in sophisticated, high net worth professional investors into this as it's pre-IPO. Unfortunately, if you can't click one of those, you won't be able to gain access to any information. What then happens is the investor deck gets sent to you. Okay. One of my team would then, myself or one of the team would then follow up just to, give anybody any helps, answer any questions you may have, explain the process of where we go from here until IPO, providing the investor decides that, yeah, this is for me, this looks fantastic. We would then, get you send some contracts out via investor relations DocuSign. You would basically be dealing directly with our registrar, which is share registrars. They then receive funds, issue certificates. Okay, and it's a very easy process until then. And then at the IPO, what happens is we have your investment converted into shares. Again, that can be discussed close to the time, but again, sign up is super easy.
Okay, very good. Potentially an amazing opportunity in a company that is possibly going to change the one thing that nobody's really had a solution for, which is the common cold and respiratory problems and all of those things in the future. If it comes off, I think your comment of it being possibly worth £1 billion is small fry. It's going to be worth tens of billions of pounds, I think, because ultimately that's what it has the potential to be. Now, the downside is doesn't quite work as we hoped. We still have a very viable business worth probably with significant revenues and significant profit margins in terms of the hand sanitizer and the other stuff that doesn't need to be passed through medical regulations. So, yeah, I wouldn't quite go so far as to say it's a free hit, but there is a big opportunity there to invest in something that if it really comes off, is going to do extremely well. If it doesn't, then it's not going to be an absolute blowout. It's not a one-hit wonder. And that's what I think is quite exciting about this opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. It's the thing that is the fact that we're not a one-trick pony. We're not, even with the trial, the product itself, what we're dealing with here is white blood cells. We're here today. I mean, when I first come on board, it's quite funny. It was actually one of my clients who gave it to me in very, very simple layman's terms, as I didn't understand the science. he said, in terms of the science and what we've got, and by the way, this guy, funny enough, he actually washes his teeth with HOCL. It's quite, he just believes in the product so much and believes how it come about. But, he said to me, quite frankly, yes, we've got the sanitizer. Yes, we've got everything for our safety. But in terms of a trial, what we're doing is you are one human with one human's white blood cells. What you're doing here is giving yourself another 3 humans' white blood cells through the respiratory tract. That's the opportunity here. Who can ever claim that, or who can ever get to the stage of claiming that? That's why I get so excited with it, because I've never heard anything like it. The potential to be the next big thing, and so do all of my current investors. I've got guys. Some of my investors so far have made it their biggest personal investment, just on the basis that they believe in it as well. I've had investors convince me to invest more money. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but I have, and that's just the way it is. Some people see it as the next big thing, and I think that a lot of investors would appreciate that.
Yeah. And Damien, as the largest shareholder here, do you want to add anything to this?
Yeah, absolutely. As Shawn says, the underlying technology we've got has the possibility to be game changing. HOCL is an incredibly versatile molecule. It's used globally for things like wound care. We've got the world's strongest hand sanitizer with the best safety profile. So we have every confidence to believe that the first trial is going to go well, and our partners in the United States have a significant drug pipeline of other potential drug candidates, including a conjunctivitis treatment and various other potential drugs moving forward. We will be looking to bring, this is not a single drug business. We believe we'll ultimately end up with 6 or 7 different registered drugs, all based on the same technology platform.
Damien Hancock, Shawn Wakefield, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Thank you very much, guys. Cheers. Thank you.
This podcast was brought to you by Roast PR Limited. If you would like to appear on a future episode of The Sunday Roast, please email admin@thesundayroast.net.